and lawyer.
Police, law.
Police, advocate, public prosecutor, and
Judge.
Yes. So
Judge.
four main people are involved in this criminal justice system. It is first of all police who files the FIR, and then defense lawyer, public prosecutor, and ultimately it is the judge who gives the verdict. Okay, so we were uh, trying to understand it through a story. It is a fictional story, not the real story, but at least I told you to observe all the elements of the story carefully, because in the last I will be asking you that what happened at that stage, and you have to observe the elements, what is happening, and then we will analyze the story according to the guidelines laid by the constitution or the supreme court, that whether what was done in this story, was it correct according to the constitution, according to the rule of law or not. Okay, so that's why I told you to listen to the story very carefully. Okay, so just recapitulating it. So what was happening, that it was the story of Mrs. Shinde, who was getting dressed and she was not finding her gold chain, and the husband was shouting that they were getting late. So she said that I cannot find my gold chain, and she is suspecting her maid for that, whose name was Shanti. And then Shanti came up. Mrs. Shinde asked Shanti that you have started stealing also now. So she said that she wanted to search the trunk of Shanti, and she has called the police also. But Shanti, she pleaded, she requested that she had not done that. Okay. And what happened when Mr. Shinde searched the trunk of Shanti? What he found? He found an envelope with rupees 10,000 in it. And what Shanti said, that this is the money which they had been saving since 1 year, because they wanted to buy a bull when they will be going to the village. But they are not ready to listen, both Mr. and Mrs. Shinde. So Mr. Shinde went to the police station and files an FIR. Okay. So what is there in FIR? That it will be there in after the story also. Properly, there's one topic in which you will be learning about what all the things are required to write up in the FIR. Right. Then what happened? So then this Sub Inspector Rao also came to his place, to Mr. Shinde's place, and then he also said to Shanti that they have written the FIR, and then the statements are also taken from Mr. and Mrs. Shinde, that what had happened, and he took the envelope of 10,000 from Shanti and he sealed that as an evidence. Okay, and then he arrested Shanti and took her to the police station. And when Sub Inspector Rao took Shanti to the police station, and then her brother Sushil, he turned up at the police station, and he again pleaded with SI Rao to release Shanti. But SI Rao, he was not ready to release. He said that she has been arrested for the theft of a gold chain, and he asked him to go to the court and get a bail order. Okay. But Sushil, they were very poor, because what all money they had, that was seized by the police, and they said that we don't have money to hire the lawyer, and moreover there is some amount of surety which has to be paid. So that is, they said that they also have not any amount for the surety. Okay, so he said that you have taken all the savings. So what SI Rao did after listening to Sushil, he forcibly keeps Sushil in the police station for 2 days. उसको जबरदस्ती पुलिस स्टेशन उसने जेल में डाल दिया. Sushil is abused and beaten, and he wanted to make him confess that he and his sister Shanti, they had a gang of domestic servants who had been stealing money from their from people's homes by in the disguise of the servants. And there are other complaints also of theft of jewelry from Shinde's neighborhood. But Sushil and his sister, they were innocent. They both did not do anything. So he keeps on repeating that he's an innocent factory worker, and the police let him go after 2 days. So what happened? After 1 month, Shanti got bail. Okay, court granted bail, but she was in the situation that she did not had the money to pay the surety for her, that was rupees 20,000. So therefore she decided to continue to be in jail, because there was no other option for her. So she was very traumatized. She thought that what would happen to her now, and she had not done anything wrong. She was behind the bars just because Mrs. Shinde suspects her, and the money also she's thinking that whether will she be able to get that money back or not. Okay. So what happened? Then the next procedure is the police files a charge sheet in the magistrate's court. Police एक charge sheet बनाती है. What is charge sheet? Charge sheet is a legal document in which all the happenings are written. Okay, who all people are involved and what is the issue, what is the matter, and who against whom charges are there, and all the statements which are taken from the people who are involved. So everything is written in the charge sheet, and then police files that charge sheet to the court, because there is a limit that police can keep the accused person in the jail for the limited time. They cannot keep the accused person in the jail for the time which they want. Okay, because the next procedure is then they will be filing a charge sheet in the court for the next procedure, and the court gives a copy of the charge sheet, uh, including the statements of witnesses to Shanti. So I was telling you yesterday also that there are some rights for the accused person also to know what is happening outside. So the court gives a copy of the charge sheet to Shanti. She came to know that these all charges have been filed against me, and Shanti tells the court that she has no lawyer to defend her against this false statement. Yes. So,
मैम हमने तो कर भी दिया.
Balpreet, you are on mute. So according, I told you to underline these lines that according to Article 22, so when Shanti said that she did not have money to hire a lawyer, then what happened? The magistrate appoints Advocate Kamla Roy as Shanti's defense lawyer. Okay, so the second important person enters here. First is the police. Police has done his job now. So the work of police is over now. So now the court has the case has been presented in the court. So now the defense lawyer comes. Okay, the defense lawyer here is appointed by the magistrate for Shanti because she is poor, not she cannot afford her own lawyer. Okay, so Advocate Kamla Roy is Shanti's defense lawyer, and it is at the government's expense. So according to Article 22 of the Constitution, every person has a fundamental right to be defended by a lawyer. Okay, I told you to underline these lines. Article 39A of the Constitution places a duty upon the state. So whose duty is that to get a lawyer for the person who is not able to get that? So it is the duty of the state government to provide a lawyer to any citizen who is unable to engage one due to poverty or other disability, right? So I think up to here we did. Then what happened? So now Advocate Kamla Roy meets Shanti in the court. Advocate Kamla Roy aa gayi, and here Shanti and her brother, they tell everything to Advocate Kamla Roy. So she says that here are my case papers. I have been falsely accused of stealing my employer's gold chain. They found rupees 10,000 in Shanti's trunk and said that this was the money she got from stealing the chain, but that is the money that we have been saving up together. So that was not the money, you know that. Then the court frames a charge. So what is the charge in the court that is being framed here? That there is a theft of Mrs. Shinde's gold chain and possession of money rupees 10,000 got from selling stolen property against Shanti. So what is the charge in the court? That it is against Shanti, and that there is a charge of theft of Mrs. Shinde and the 10,000 rupees which they got. I plead not guilty and I claim trial. So now again she is pleading in front of the court also that she is not guilty and she claims trial. She wants to present her side, she wants to defend her. The public prosecutor appears in the case on the behalf of the state. Now the third important person enters this scene. Who is that? The public prosecutor. Okay, so now first was police, then defense lawyer, now public prosecutor. So who is a public prosecutor? Public prosecutor is, you can say, it is a person of law by the government, okay, by the state. So it is you can say if anything happens wrong in the state, for example, you take the example of Punjab only. If anything happens in Punjab, for example, is there any Dori case or murder case or any theft is there, so then that crime will be considered as public wrong. Okay, publicly it is wrong. That means it is against the constitution, it is against the rule of law, and it is the duty of the state government to prove that crime against whose the charges have been filed. Okay, कि accused person को guilty prove करना, that is the work of the public prosecutor. Okay, now you'll say here कि ma'am, what about the private lawyers? Can't we hire our own lawyers? कि हम अपना खुद lawyer hire नहीं कर सकते हैं? That can also be done. ठीक है, for example, here अगर मुझे अपना लॉयर करना है, ठीक है, सो आई कैन हायर माय ओन लॉयर ऑल्सो, बट दैट लॉयर विच आई हैव हायर्ड, दैट लॉयर विल ओनली हेल्प द पब्लिक प्रोसिक्यूटर. वो पब्लिक प्रोसिक्यूटर की हेल्प कर सकता है उसको, बट हु विल प्रेजेंट द केस इन द कोर्ट, दैट इज द पब्लिक प्रोसिक्यूटर ओनली. ठीक है, केस को प्रेजेंट पब्लिक प्रोसिक्यूटर ही करेगा, बिकॉज दैट हैज बीन अपॉइंटेड बाय द behalf of the state, on the behalf of the state. So he cannot present our case, but he can, the lawyer which we have hired, that lawyer can only help the public prosecutor in the finding, but ultimately who will present the case from our behalf, that is the public prosecutor, because anything, any crime which has happened, that is against the state, so it is the duty of the state to prove the accused guilty. ठीक है, जो थेफ्ट हुआ है, जो भी क्राइम हुआ है, उसको एक्यूज्ड को गिल्टी प्रूव करना वो पब्लिक प्रोसिक्यूटर का काम होता है. सो यू कैन से इट इज government, it is appointed by the government. Okay, so private lawyers are different. प्राइवेट लॉयर्स होते हैं, वो केस ढूंढते हैं, ठीक है, दे गेट द केस फ्रॉम पीपल. बट पब्लिक प्रोसिक्यूटर, जैसे कोई भी केस आता है, सो दे आर एक्टिंग ऑन द बिहाफ ऑफ द स्टेट. Okay, so they have permanent jobs, you can say. So public prosecutor is a lawyer, he is a lawyer also, but he is acting on the behalf of the state, and he is getting salary per month. For example, it is a kind of government job. Okay, public prosecutors. But private lawyers are different. Private lawyers are sitting in their offices and they get the this case from the clients, and then they get money from them. But ultimately, if it is a crime which is against the state, then public prosecutor will only present the case. I hope you understood the public prosecutor, who is public prosecutor. Clear? So then again, there's one more separate topic on public prosecutor, the role of public prosecutor. It will be more clear to you when we will read that. Okay, so tell me, Mrs. Shinde, how did the gold chain go missing? So now he is the public prosecutor. Public prosecutor is asking Mrs. Shinde. So tell me, Mrs. Shinde, how did the gold chain go missing? So what is the job of public prosecutor here in the case? Who can tell me? What is the job of public prosecutor here in this case? Is he against or in favor of Shanti?
Against
Shanti.
Against Shanti.
Yes, very good.
Against Shanti.
He
has to
is
prove Shanti
against.
wrong.
Yes, very good. His job is to prove Shanti wrong here. So Shanti is pleading that she had not done anything, but public prosecutor on the behalf of the state, and the theft has been done, which is considered as public wrong. So here his job is to prove Shanti wrong and to prove her guilty, that she had done that. And that too means he has to prove that beyond any reasonable doubt. These words, what do they mean? I'll let you know. Beyond any reasonable doubt means कि कोई भी doubt बचना नहीं चाहिए बाद में कि there is a doubt कि no, it is not like that, कि इसने नहीं किया. So clear cut, the blame should go on Shanti, and if it is proof, it has to be proved beyond any reasonable doubt. Means there should not be any doubt left in proving Shanti wrong. कि कहीं से भी nobody should be able to raise any finger that they have done it wrong, that you can say the judgment is wrong. Okay, so here the job of the public prosecutor is to prove Shanti guilty. So he is asking, so tell me, Mrs. Shinde, how did the gold chain go missing? Mrs. Shinde says, I had kept my chain in the drawer. Shanti stole it. No other outsider except Shanti goes into
Excuse
my
me,
room.
ma'am.
Yes, Walfrid.
मैम मैंने पूछना था कि
You are mute. Unmute yourself.
मैं मैंने सुना कि कई बार जो उनसे केस लड़ते हैं वो कितने कितने साल चलते हैं, वो क्यों?
वो इसीलिए because the court the judge is not able to come on any judgment, कि कोई judgment होती ही नहीं है. Because see what I told you here, that it should be proved without beyond any reasonable doubt. So जब कोई ना कोई doubt बच जाता है, okay, कि अगर जो क्या बोलते हैं उसको, opposition में जो आपका lawyer है, अगर उसने कोई और question raise कर दिया कि no this is not clear how it happened, so if there is still doubt and suspicion is there in the mind of the judge, so judge is not still able to reach any conclusion. वो कोई conclusion पे, वो judgment पे नहीं आ. यहाँ पे देखो ना, see he is the judge, वो सिर पकड़ के बैठ गया, भाई ये क्या हो गया. So this is the condition. So the, you can say the role of the judge is very 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 important. जो judge है वो means only then he will be reaching any judgment when there will be clear cut, you can say, the blame is proved on the accused person. But still if any doubt is there कि अगर for example ठीक है इसने prove कर दिया, then again the opposition stands up and then he said some, कोई उसने और point raise कर दिया कि नहीं how it happened, वो तो वहां पे गई नहीं थी, and any point can be there. So if any point is raised by the opposition and the judge again become he does not get the surety, he does not get the transparency, so then there is a time of any case in the court, and then if that time is over, so then the session is adjourned and it is taken up to the next date. So that's why it happens. But if clear cut it is proved, so then the judge is able to give the judgment. But if any point is raised by the opposition, then still that dilemma is there, and then this it goes to the next meeting, next dates. So that's why बोलते हैं ना कि कोर्ट कचहरी के चक्करों में नहीं पड़ना चाहिए, तारीख पे तारीख मिलती रहती है. So that all things are there because it is a very complicated process. But people mostly they do not go to the court because of this thing only, because there's a lot of time waste is there, and lot of it consumes more time, money you want, you need, so many factors are there. Okay, but when there is no other option, so then people have to move to the court. Okay, so these are the things which affects. Fine. So now here, this public prosecutor is asking Mrs. Shinde that what all happened and how did the gold chain go missing. And she says that again, I have kept it in the drawer. Shanti stole it. No other outside goes into my room except Shanti. Mr. Shinde searched her trunk in front of me and we were shocked to find rupees 10,000 in an envelope. Shanti got this money from selling my gold chain. She is a thief. So she clear cut says that she is a thief. Next, now, Advocate Roy cross examines the prosecution witness, Mrs. Shinde. So now, Advocate Kamla Roy, who is a defense lawyer for Shanti, and she comes up and she asks Mrs. Shinde, so what you are basically saying is that you did not see Shanti steal the chain? Okay, so she is saying she's just assuming, no, Mrs. Shinde, she's just assuming that nobody comes into my room except Shanti, and when they search the trunk, they got 10,000 rupees. But here, Advocate Kamla Roy puts a very good point that what you're basically saying is that you did not see Shanti steal the chain. देखा तो नहीं ना उसने अपनी आंखों से. Nor did you recover the chain on Shanti. First of all, she has not seen Shanti stealing the chain. Second point, that she did not recover the chain on Shanti. उसको chain तो नहीं मिली है, 10,000 rupees मिली है. That can be anything. For any reason it can be. Also, in the 3 years that she has worked for you, nothing has been stolen from the house. It is not like that she has come new and she's newly appointed by you. So she is working since 3 years, and since 3 years there was never any complaint of theft against her, and you were also regularly paying her rupees 1,000 as salary each month. So these are all the points which were put up by Advocate Kamla Roy. So now you can see the judge is holding his head. Now he is not able to make up the judgment. So he's confused now. So what happened? Advocate Roy examines Sushil and his employer as defense witnesses. Okay, so Advocate Roy, who is Advocate Roy? Is the defense lawyer of Shanti. She examines Sushil and his employer as defense witnesses. Through their testimonies, she is able to show that the rupees 10,000 found in Shanti's trunk could well be the earnings of Sushil and Shanti. So Advocate Roy ने ये प्रूव कर दिया कि ये फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल दीज पॉइंट्स कि उसने अपनी आंखों से नहीं देखा एंड मोर ओवर उसको चेन भी रिकवर नहीं हुई है एंड शी हैज बीन वर्किंग फॉर 3 years. कभी कोई कंप्लेन नहीं आई एंड मिसेस शिंदे शी वाज रेगुलरली पेइंग 1,000 एज सैलरी ईच मंथ. ओके, एंड मोर ओवर एंड देन उसके भाई को भी एग्जामिन किया, जो भाई जहाँ पे फैक्ट्री में काम करता था उसके एम्प्लॉयर को भी विटनेस के रूप में बुलाया एंड थ्रू देयर टेस्टिमोनीज. व्हाट आर टेस्टिमोनीज? Testimonies are the legal statements given in the court. Okay, जो भी जितने भी witness आते हैं, so what all statements they are giving, that are called testimonies. Okay, she is able to show, so उसने दिखा दिया, proof कर दिया कि जो rupees 10,000 found in Shanti's trunk could well be the earnings of Sushil and Shanti, कि दोनों की earnings मिला के 10,000 can be easily the amount which they could be earnings in these all these years. Okay, so then that is also proved now because she has not seen. So now what happened? As the trial is nearing completion, so now it is going to be completion. It is nearing completion. So she learns that Inspector Sharma has now, see, this is very important here. Listen to it very carefully. What happens? So here we'll come to know what is the truth. As the trial is nearing completion, कि जैसे ट्रायल खत्म होने को आता है, सुशील learns that, सुशील को क्या पता लगता है? सुशील को पता लगता है that Inspector Sharma, who is Inspector Sharma, the first police who appears and files the FIR. So Inspector Sharma has busted a gang of young men who have been stealing jewelry from the Shinde's neighborhood. ठीक है, सुशील को ये पता लगा कि इंस्पेक्टर शर्मा ने एक गैंग को बस्ट किया. बस्टेड मींस उनका भांडा फोड़ना. ओके, सो हैज बस्टेड अ गैंग ऑफ यंग मैन, कि कुछ यंग बॉयज आर देयर, यंग मैन आर देयर, उनका एक गैंग है एंड दे हैव बीन स्टीलिंग ज्वेलरी. वो लोगों के घरों से ज्वेलरी चोरी करते हैं एंड फ्रॉम द शिंदेस नेबरहुड जो भी कंप्लेन्स आई थी और भी ज्यादा चोरी हुई है, थेफ्ट ऑफ कंप्लेन्ट्स वर देयर फ्रॉम शिंदेस नेबरहुड. सो दे Sushil ko pata laga that Inspector Sharma has busted a gang of young men who have been stealing jewelry from Shinde's neighborhood. Now, some of Mrs. Shinde's son's friends, understand this line, who सम ऑफ मिसेस शिंदेस, मिसेस शिंदे का जो बेटा है उसके जो फ्रेंड है. नाउ वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट यंग मैन, सो दे ऑल आर इन्वॉल्व, कि ये जो लड़के हैं, जो यंग बॉयज हैं, यंग मैन है, दे आर इन्वॉल्व इन दिस थेफ्ट. ओके, सम ऑफ मिसेस शिंदेस सन्स फ्रेंड्स आर पार्ट ऑफ दिस गैंग. ठीक है, सो जो मिसेस शिंदे के जो बेटा है उनके फ्रेंड भी है उस गैंग में एंड मिसेस शिंदेस चेन हैज बीन फाउंड ऑन देम, कि वो एक चेन उनको वहां से मिली है. सो सब इंस्पेक्टर को वहां से एक चेन मिली है उस गैंग में से. तो सुशील टेल्स एडवोकेट रॉय अबाउट दिस. सुशील एडवोकेट रॉय को ये सब बताता है एंड एडवोकेट रॉय नाउ कॉल्स इंस्पेक्टर शर्मा एज अ डिफेंस विटनेस. सो नाउ अभी what happened? So they are calling Inspector Rao as a defense witness to know what he has done. So Inspector Sharma, can you show and tell us what you have found? So she is asking now that what you have found, please show us. Here is the chain that has been identified by Mrs. Shinde as hers. So वो जो chain वो gang से मिली है, so now Mrs. Shinde, she has identified that that was her chain. So here is the chain that has been identified by Mrs. Shinde as hers. We busted a gang of boys who had stolen the chain. These boys have admitted that they stole the chain. Okay, so finally the case is as crystal clear now, everything. So now the chain, they have recovered the chain, but not from Shanti. They have got the chain from a gang of young men who were stealing the jewelry from the people's homes. So now the judge, now see the now judge is happy here. Okay, so why judge is happy? Because the case is solved. But earlier, when you saw this picture, so why he's holding his head now? Because then he's not able to not able to reach any conclusion. So you can understand that the role of the judge is very crucial here, because he has to uh, jump on the right conclusion. Okay, so otherwise, if any wrong judgment given, so he is also in danger then. So the judge hears the testimony of all the witnesses. Again, testimony means all the legal statements given by the witnesses who are appearing in the court. So judge hears the testimony of all the witnesses after the testimony of Inspector Sharma. So whose testimony was the most important one in this case? It was Inspector Sharma's statement. So after the testimony of Inspector Sharma, Advocate Roy argues before the judge that it has now been established that Shanti is innocent and should be acquitted. Acquitted means released without any charges. Okay, so now she says that this proves, because after the statement, after the testimony of Inspector Rao, Shanti is proved innocent and she should be acquitted. So what the judge says, Shanti, you are hereby acquitted of the charge of the theft, means she is released from the charge. The police will hand over to you the rupees 10,000 that they had sealed, so she will get her money back also. In my written judgment, I have made it a point to highlight SI Rao's role in conducting such a shoddy investigation that made you spend time in jail. What do you mean by shoddy? Shoddy means not clear. Okay, not clear or badly done. Okay, so here who is whose you can say fault is there? So here somewhere you can say there was a fault of inspector also, because he was not right in his process. Okay, without any proof, first of all she could not arrest Shanti. And if you're arresting any woman, so there are some guidelines which are to be followed. So what are all those guidelines and all that we will be studying now after that. Okay, so now what happened from the above incident, you can see the four key players in the criminal justice system are who? Who are the four main players? Four key players in this system: police,
Police, public
Police,
prosecutor,
public prosecutor,
Defense
defense
lawyer,
lawyer, judge.
defense lawyer,
the
judge.
judge.
yes.
The judge.
So
And
these four people are, you can say, the key players in the criminal justice system. It can be asked for 1 mark. Who are the key players in the criminal justice system? It is the police, the public prosecutor, the defense lawyer, and the judge. So you have seen the roles each of them played in the above case. Now let us try and understand their roles more generally. Generally means in one we see that it was a situation. Okay, in this story there was a situational role of each of these persons, but now what is the general role of all these players who are involved in the criminal justice system? Okay, first is what is the role of the police. So now I think you will be able to relate from the story also. Okay, so this is just the recapitulation again, because you have already understood what the police has done, but how the police has done, that will be, you can say, there will be little discrepancies, means it will not be the same as Sub Inspector Rao has done. So then you will tell me, when I will tell you what are the guidelines to be followed, then you will tell me that was Mr. Rao correct at that stage. Okay, so first of all, what is the role of police? You know, just understand, I'm going to read. One important function of the police is to investigate any complaint about the commission of a crime. Commission means when any crime is committed, so then it is the duty of the police to investigate any complaint. So if someone is going to complain to the police, and then it is the duty of the police. Okay, this is the first role, that police has to investigate the complaint, right? Then an investigation includes recording the statements of witnesses and collecting different kinds of evidences. So what do you mean when it is, when we are saying that police is investigating the case? So what do you mean by that? Investigation का मतलब क्या है? That police is recording the statements of witnesses, कि जो भी उस crime के witness हैं. Who is a witness? Witness means the persons who have seen that crime happening. Okay, जिन्होंने देखा है अपनी आंखों से, those who were present at that crime scene, so they will be recording the statements of witnesses and collecting different kinds of evidences कि वहां पे अगर for example any murder is there, किस चीज से murder हुआ है, okay, if any weapon is found there, so all those kind of evidences they will be collecting. On the basis of the investigation, the police are required to form an opinion. So जो भी पुलिस की टीम होती है, so what all investigation is done, then they are required to form an opinion, because then they have to file the charge sheet. ठीक है, I told you charge sheet has to be filed in the court. So that charge sheet involves everything related to that crime, what is there. So if the police think that the evidence points to the guilt of the accused person, then they file a charge sheet in the court. So as stated in the beginning of the chapter, it is not the job of the police to decide whether a person is guilty or innocent. That is for the judge to decide. Okay, so these are the same, the repetition of all the things which we have studied in the story, but it is in a journalized form. So read all these roles, you will be able to understand. I am stopping here because